My brothers and sisters, you are now watching the Gamer 2323, so just forget about the chores you're supposed to do. Put your feet up, get your Kool-Aid, fried chicken, popcorn, get whatever you may need! And I hope you enjoy the video. You know that moment to where you finish like a really good game, or like hell, you like finish watching like a really good Netflix series, and then after that it's like you have this empty void in your life that can't be filled. You don't know where it came from, but all of a sudden your life feels incomplete and empty. And you're just like, what am I supposed to do now? What is my life's purpose? Like, that is literally how I felt like after beating this game. I'm like, what am I supposed to play now? What am I supposed to do now with my... And I knew that jump was coming. I felt it. Because every time something like this happens to where you feel like you really get a special game, you always get that feeling like, am I just supposed to return back to playing Fortnite or something? Like that? Like, what am I supposed to do? That is exactly how this game got me feeling. Like, God, I'm sorry, boy of war. I'm sure you guys have heard already all the reviews that this junk has gotten, all the praise this junk has gotten. I don't think this game has gotten, at least I haven't seen it, I don't think this game has gotten less than a 9. There's a reason for that. You know, it's definitely an experience that you don't get every day. So I'm sure you guys have heard all of the praise that God of War is getting. Now it's time for my review. I just beat the game. What's today? Sunday. I just beat it Friday, and literally after I beat the game, I just stared at the screen and said, wow. And now here I am talking about my opinions on God of War. So this will be my review of the game. No spoilers, of course, because I know some people still ain't get the game yet. I don't know what's taking you so long. Get the game, second. You know, but here's my review of God of War. Is it worth the 60 bones? Okay, so the story of God of War, not really anything too like complex or nothing like that. I actually feel like the story is kind of really clear cut and basic, but the events that transpire throughout this story, throughout this journey of Kratos and his boy, that's what makes the story so good, in my opinion. Kratos has changed since we've last seen this time. You know, last time we seen Kratos, this sucker was trying to kill every god that was in his sight. He was on this path of vengeance and destruction and blood, and nothing was really going to stop this man because he's freaking Kratos, you know. Now, years later, this new Kratos, he's all like, boy. I literally say boy now just because of this dude. Yeah,
you'd be dead.
Kratos, he's a way more calm now. You know, he's way more laid back. He's trying to raise his son Atreus. You know, he's trying to be a good father and teach him the ways, you know, of you know, life, and trying to put him on a different path, you know, that because he doesn't want his son to be who he was. He's actually trying to keep his past a secret, and he's trying to forget about all of, you know, all of the things he did in the past and live this new life. He's trying to escape the things that he's done. So he's trying to, you know, put his son on a brand new path and be a better version of himself. And pretty much like the whole goal of this story is Kratos' wife, who they refer to as Faye, which I think is his second wife. I mean, this man Kratos be smashing so many. I mean, with all those little mini games that, you know, that you had in all these God of Wars, like Kratos just smashes whoever he feels like smashing. But I think Faye is his like second wife, you know, and she's passed on. You never actually really see her in this game. Like when you first see her, she's like wrapped up in like a body bag, you know. So she's passed on, but her last wish was for her ashes to be spread at, you know, at the highest peak in all of the realms. So they have to travel to like the highest summit and then spread out her ashes, and that's really like the main goal of this story. Again, the events that transpire throughout this story, that's what makes it so good. I need to talk about the relationship between Kratos and Atreus. I like Atreus more because I used to say Atreus because that's how I thought it was pronounced, but Kratos says Atreus. Well, the very rare times he does call him by his actual name and not boy, you know. But I loved the relationship of these two characters. This is a relationship that is so fun to watch and so fun to see like work itself out that I was actually surprised by how much I actually enjoyed the dialogue of these two. So Kratos, again, he's trying to escape his past and teach his son like how to be like a good soldier and how, you know, and just like the ways of life. His son Atreus, he's like constantly asking him questions, talking about different stuff, saying why is this like this, why is this like that. And Kratos in the beginning of this game, like he literally is just like, boy, shut up. Like, stop talking to me, you talk too much. And I was like, I was just looking at the way the dialogue was like playing out and what it turned into, and just the way like they act towards each other. I'm just like, man, the way it plays out is really beautiful to watch, because it really feels like you're watching Kratos raise his son while on this journey. And, you know, Atreus, you know, some people thought that he might have been some like annoying brat or stuff like that, but as he's going through this journey, like he's learning more about himself, he's learning more about Kratos. It flows so beautifully and nothing feels forced in the game. So I was like actually really surprised by how much I liked Atreus and like the relationship of these two characters, Kratos and his son. Like Kratos is like a black father, dude. Like like this dude is very strict, very hardcore. He don't want to be asked too many questions that are like invasive of his privacy. Like if you get too close, he's like, stop asking me questions, boy. It's just like, it's very fun to watch, dude. If the relationship was not engaging, I don't think it would have played out, you know, like it did. But because the way they did it was so natural and it didn't feel forced, and the way they learn more about each other as they, you know, go on throughout this journey, it felt really good playing this game and just seeing how the story played out. Graphically, we all know this game looks incredible. Like I don't really think it's no surprise at this point. I feel like every God of War game that has come out, like it has pushed whatever the current PlayStation platform was to its highest potential. Even going back to the God of War games on PlayStation 2, for the time, those games looked incredible. We couldn't believe how, good that game looked, and especially God of War 3. That was one of the best looking PS3 games last gen. Of course, God of War looks incredible. You could be playing this junk on a original PS4, a PS4 Slim, a PS4 Pro, a 4K TV, a 4K display, a 1080p TV, a 720p TV, a 480 tube TV. I hope nobody still ain't gaming on no tube TV, but I do realize the struggle's real. But regardless of where you're playing this game looks incredible, dude. There were so many moments throughout me playing this game. I'm just like, I just stopped moving and just like looked around. I'm just like, we do not deserve playing this game right here. This chunk looks incredible. One of the more colorful God of War games that I can like, because the environment, because you travel to like different, realms and locations in this game. Like, the game has some very like vibrant colors. Like, I'm talking about like comparing it to something like Horizon, that was like a very like, vibrant game with like bright colors and stuff like that. Like, there's definitely like parts in this game where you're like, am I playing God of War? Because it's so like with God of War, you don't really, I mean, not saying that none of the other titles didn't have like color in them, but mainly when you think God of War, you think dark, gritty, dark red blood splattered on like splattered on the walls in gray and brown and stuff like that. This one has some very like vibrant, colorful, looking environments in the game. So I mean, again, as far as from the graphical department, you don't have to worry at all about this game. Now we gotta talk about the gameplay. I'm gonna probably spend most of my time on this piece right here because I feel like this is what is most important, because going into this game, that's where mainly most of the questions were coming from. Like, we see like the new direction they're taking with this game, but like, no jump button. We have a companion now. The camera's zoomed in closer. Like, am I still going to be playing a God of War, or is this like God of Us? Like, people just kept on comparing it to The Last of Us and stuff like that. And like, I hope this is still a God of War game. And even though I'm making jokes about it, like, it's understandable like why people do that, because there's been a lot of times to where like a game is reintroduced, and it doesn't always turn up well. There's been a lot of times to where you may have liked a franchise on like last gen, but when it's reintroduced to like the current gen, it's like, this don't feel the same. I don't like this one as much. There's been like, example, Twisted Metal. I remember back in the day, boy, if you had a PlayStation 1 or PS2, everyone was playing Twisted Metal. People loved that. That was one of PlayStation's biggest like titles back in the day. Twisted Metal. I remember when they reintroduced Twisted Metal on PS3, people was like, "What have you done to my game?" It was like, people hated what they did with Twisted Metal on PS3. I don't even know exactly what they did, because I was never like really a big fan of Twisted Metal, but I just know that junk, most of the reactions and reviews that game got were all terrible. People used to love that. So calm, going from PlayStation 2 to PS3. Don't even get me started. Halo, going from the original Xbox to the 360 to the Xbox One. Look at Halo today. Metal Gear Solid, going from PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2 to PS3 to now like the current, like a lot of people didn't really like Metal Gear Solid 5. Final Fantasy, like there's been so many franchises that when the devs try to like take a new direction or give like a fresh feel, or they try to reintroduce it to new fans, it doesn't always end up good. Most of the time, it doesn't end up good. So I think that's what, people's fear was of this game. I'm telling you right now, drop all of the doubts that you do have of this game, because gameplay wise, this is actually my favorite God of War game. And I was about to say it in my first impressions, but I wasn't really too sure if I was ready to say it. But I was thinking it at that time when I did my first impressions of this game. I'm like, yo, gameplay wise, I think this might be my favorite God. But I wasn't too sure because I was still holding on to 3. 3 was still my favorite, but nah. After playing through this game, totally beating the game, this gameplay wise, and just the overall experience, of course, this is my favorite God of War game out of any of the other ones, dude. Like, if you are still talking about the fact that this junk has no jump button, if you're still bringing up the fact that the camera is zoomed in too close, and you're still bringing up the fact that it doesn't have a freaking it doesn't have a combo hit marker at the side of the screen, you're literally just nitpicking at this point. Like, there is no, like, I still see people doing that. Like, there's no jump button. The camera is zoomed in. I'm sorry, does that take away from how great this game is? I just don't understand why some people will hold on to that. This game, even regardless of the stuff it doesn't have, it makes up for it with the stuff that it does have. And I think a lot of devs can learn from what Santa Monica did with this game, because let's be real, this is almost like a reintroduction of God of War. I really think that's why it's not called God of War 4. It's just called God. It's almost like a fresh new feel, a fresh new direction, a fresh new take on God of War. So it's called just God of War. It's almost like a reintroduction of the franchise, because this is some people's first God of War game. A lot of new fans, this is their first one, so they're like, okay, what is this game about? I feel like they did a great job at giving this game a new direction, giving it a fresh new feel, while still at the same time keeping, certain aspects of what made you like God of War in the first place. This game, gameplay wise, is incredible. I will say this though, when I first started playing this game, I found myself in the beginning of this game, I wasn't really feeling the gameplay. Cause with the Leviathan axe, which is like the new main weapon that Kratos has, the Leviathan axe, I found myself, when this game first started, I was spamming throwing that axe button. Like, suck, I was throwing that axe so many times in this game, because at least when you play on Give Me Challenge or Give Me God of War, when the creatures hit you, they do some good amount of damage. So I was throwing it a lot, because you can kind of fight at like a distance, and it gets addictive too, because it's like you throw it, but then you press a triangle to like recall it back, and it's almost like Thor's hammer or something. Like you just throw it and then and it just comes back to you. Junk is fun, but I was like, man, I just feel like I'm just spamming. I just feel like I'm spamming, just throwing the axe, and I didn't really like the gameplay at first, because I'm like, man, I mean, I don't want to play like this, but I feel like I'm forced to now, because this is like what the axe is. But nah, once you really get like into the game and you start to upgrade your skills and get like different moves, and you start to upgrade your gear and unlock different perks for that axe, bro, the gameplay really gets good in this game. And again, like I think it takes a while until the gameplay really starts to open up, because when you first start, it's almost like they're trying to like teach you like how to play the game, because now you have like a shield, you got an axe and stuff like that, and you can like parry and do it. It's almost like the game is teaching you how to play before you really get into the game. I mean, when you first start, you can't even sprint. And I'm like, bro, you mean to tell me Kratos can't sprint while he's fighting? This junk is crazy. And I was like, bro, I do not like this game. But no, like when it starts to open up, that's when it gets good. Having Atreus by your side. I know a lot of people wasn't really too sure or fond of like having a companion. Like Kratos don't need no companion. He doesn't need to be watching over no child. I know a lot of people wasn't a fan of that. Atreus actually helps, especially when you upgrade this sucker. Oh my god. Oh, he's definitely gonna help you later on in the game, especially depending on what difficulty you're playing as. Atreus, when you upgrade him and like he unlocks he starts to unlock these different moves and like get different arrows and stuff like that, the man, the boy, he definitely helps you in this game. And I just feel like the gameplay went like really like well, and it flowed really good. Like sometimes he'll like jump on like the he'll jump on the creature's back, and then like he'll like hold them for you. He'll hold them for you, so you have to run over and like then get your free hits in. And it's like little stuff like that, and then he'll like flip them up in the air and like shoot them, and then you can like juggle and then like start hitting them like Atreus actually. Like, he's actually one of the best companions that I've had, like, because, again, there's been a lot of games that have, like, these companions, and sometimes they kind of feel like more so of a nuisance. They don't really, like, you don't really feel like they are helping. They're, like, more so in the way and stuff like that. But, nah, Atreus, he does work. The boy, the boy does work in this game. So, I've seen a lot of people, and this is one thing I did want to, discuss, because I actually kind of do agree with what they were saying. I see a lot of people say that the bosses in this game or the mini bosses in this game could have been better. Let me say this, I'd still give God of War 3 that edge as far as boss fights, because again, God of War 3's boss fights, literally everyone was epic in its own way. If not the scale of the fight, the things you did to end that fight. Like, it was just every single fight. And not just in the God of War series. I think God of War 3 had some of the best boss fights in all of gaming. Like, some of the most epic boss fights were had in that game. But the intro to this game, when you first start off, you're like, yo, if this is the first boss fight, how is the rest going to be like in this game? And there's definitely like moments to where, it's just epic. You can't believe what's going on, the scale of the fight. You definitely still have those moments in this game, but it's not as much as you had in God of War 3. Like, And this is not a spoiler, because they showed, like, this was the first gameplay they showed of God of War when when Kratos used a Spartan Rage on that like big troll thing that has like the rock. So this is not a spoiler. But speaking of that troll, there's different versions of that said troll. And a lot of times that is the boss fight. You're fighting that troll, but it's like a different variation of that troll. He might like have like a different, skill or perk that he uses, but they all kind of fight the same. So it's almost like you kind of feel like, you're fighting the same boss over and over and over again, but they all do have different names, and they all have like their different, lore about them. So it is a different troll, but they all kind of fight you in the same manner. And I've seen people, kind of complaining about that, and like how the fact that not even just those trolls, but like the creatures, you'll fight a lot of the same creatures, but it'll be like a upgraded version of that creature, so they'll do like different moves and stuff like that. I will agree that I feel like they could have had more like bosses in this game that kind of played you in a totally different way, because this is definitely a lot of times the way you fight one creature or the way you fight one boss, that's the same thing you need to do for all of those trolls or creatures and stuff like that. So I will agree there. I personally feel like that they could have had more like variety, I guess, with like the creatures that you fought in this game, and like have different move sets and stuff like that. I mean, when you fight the trolls, it is still fun, but like once you fight like you're like your fourth or fifth troll, it's just like, come on, son. Like it's really just like the first two, maybe three trolls is like, okay, let me stay suck it. By the time I got on like my fourth or fifth troll, I'm like, bring your ass here, suck it. Started going in. But outside of that, like the bosses or the mini bosses, the gameplay, again, overall, experience wise, gameplay wise, I think this is the best God of War game in the entire series, bro. Again, it doesn't do everything like perfectly, because I feel like that masterpiece word is thrown around way too loosely. I don't want to act like the game is a masterpiece, but it's damn near close. It's damn near close to being one, you know. Still like different aspects that I might have liked more so in like a different God of War, but I feel like as an overall experience wrapped up in one package, this God of War just stands out more so than any of the other ones. Going to the replay value, definitely, I mean, even before I get to the replay value, you know, some people don't like the idea of just buying single player only games. We're in a completely different era now. Like now you ain't got no multiplayer. It's like, I ain't spending $60, you know, on this game. Some people, I know people have some issues with spending $60 on a single player game only because once you beat the story, you feel like there's nothing else to do. I mean, yeah, this game is single player only. And I would actually say I kind of wonder why they didn't continue on like with a multiplayer, because if you guys remember, even though it kind of got mixed reviews, God of War Ascension, if you guys played that, had a shockingly good multiplayer, and I would have liked to see them like build on that. Yeah, I didn't think multiplayer in God of War could work before they actually tried it with that. I would have loved to see them like build on what they did in the Ascension multiplayer and carry it over to this game, because I feel like it could have been even better, you know, doing the favors in this game, or just trying to, you know, do all the different puzzles, or trying to upgrade your gear to its highest potential, or trying to kill all of the Valkyries in this. Like there's definitely like things that you can do throughout the story that you know will give you extra, you know, hours of gameplay in this game. That, you know, that can be during like the middle of you playing throughout the story, or that can be after you beat the story and then you go back and explore all these different locations, and you know go to different places that you could not go to before because you didn't have the equipment at the time, but now you do have it, so now you can travel to new areas and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff like that you can go back and do in this game. So I feel like replay value wise, I mean, this is probably the best God of War like in the series, because once you beat it, there's so much more things that you can still do in this game. It's a big world. Like it's nothing like Skyrim or Grand Theft Auto, but there's a lot of different realms and locations that you can discover and do things at, and find out more lore of the story, and unlock new different things and upgrade stuff. Dude, if it wasn't for the only thing I said when I said I wish they had more like variety when it came to like the boss fights and like creatures you fought and stuff like that, if it wasn't for that, this game would probably be a 10 in my eyes. I'm literally taking off 0.5 only because of that. This game is a 9.5, dude. This is one of the best experiences I've had since I've been playing games, and this is damn sure one of the best games that's come out on PS4 since this junk dropped in November of 2013. I feel like this game is a must play. Even if you haven't played No God, I would at least say you play it. At least play like 3 or something. At least play 3 before you hop into this game. But even then, like, I feel like you can still understand what's going on in this story without playing any of the without playing any of the previous titles. The only thing is, like, some of like the things that'll pop up in this story that kind of goes back to to Kratos' past. You won't really appreciate it as much because you don't really know what's going on, because you haven't played any of the other God of War. So I would say, for your best experience, you have some type of understanding of, this man's past and like what's happened. But I don't feel like it's necessary. If you just want to understand what's going on in this story, I don't feel like you have to play any of the other God of Wars, but it would be better if you did. But yeah, this game is great, dude. Definitely must buy. And yeah, is it worth the 60 bones? I wish I bought the collector's edition for this game. Like, I'm actually kind of starting to hit myself in the foot with that, because I'm like, bro, if I knew this game would have been like this, I would have got that collector's edition. So definitely, if it's worth the 60 bones, you bet your sweet tush it is. Go out and buy this game if you have not gotten it yet already, and don't rush through it, dude. Don't rush through it. This junk is something like you have to experience and just savor in every moment, dude. Because like, really, once you beat this game, you feel like, what am I supposed to go back and play now? Like, I don't feel like playing nothing else but God of War. So definitely take your time playing the game. Don't rush through it. I'm gonna definitely play through this game again. I mean, if I could get close, I might just go for that platinum. I might just do that. So definitely must play game, dude. One of the best gaming experiences I've had thus far while playing games. Easily one of the best PS4 games to date. And yeah, if you have a PS4, this needs to be your next pickup. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And until then, my brothers and sisters, I'll catch you guys in my next one, alright? Peace.